This is Scituate State of Affairs, the show addressing town and government issues that directly impact you. And its current official name may be the Harbor Community Building, but you and I both know most people just call it Pier 44. Nope, not because it has or had 44 piers. It's just located at 44 Jericho Road. That former restaurant was purchased by the town in 2010, and the town opted to keep it as is and making the building a multi-use location for town departments and community groups. Fast forward to present day, and that's all about to change because of you, the Scituate resident. Paul Barkowitz is the chair of the Scituate Harbor Advisory Redevelopment Commission. Easier said as shark with a C. Paul, always good to see you.
Great to see you, Seth.
I got to talk to someone about that name. A little tricky.
We like to call it the Pier 44 Commission.
There you go.
I think that resonates better.
Most people do call it that. Most people do. Listen, I don't want to dilly-dally here too much. What this is all about the designs of this of Pier 44, and we know there's been a lot of interest. You already have a survey out there. How many responses? 1,300?
We've had 1,300 already. Fantastic. It runs through February 28th.
Nice. And let's start there because I think there is some confusion over this. That I've seen some people say we've been doing this survey for so long. This is actually the second survey. There was one survey that came out in 2021 asking residents what they wanted. They overwhelmingly said a park. This survey is what? So
they've told us they want a park, and this survey is what kind of a park? What elements do you want in it? What do you want to see? How are you going to use it?
Got it. The other issue before we get to these designs is there's been a number of people that have pushed back on this saying there should be some sort of structure within that. And I want you to address that, but before we do that, I want to play a clip from Copley & Wolfe, the design firm behind this, Christine Wilson, who I think really did sum it up. Let's take a listen to what she had to say.
I just want to help folks when they're talking to others about why not an enclosed building. I just want to kind of see, I'm going to try to simplify this. We'll see how well I do on this. Ryan, you might have to help me on this, but the site grade along Jericho Road from one end to the other, it does change, but 7 to 9 feet. And we're looking at, if we had an enclosed building, having it up at 16 or 18 feet, depending on where it is on the site. So we're talking, as Paul mentioned earlier, 10 feet. And we can't fill on the site that much because of the adjacent wetland. We just can't build this site up so it's a mountain in this zone. Even if we put it on, let's say we put it on piling, so it wasn't on terra firma, we would still need to get people up to that elevation accessibly. So that would be filling the site up with a lot of, ramps and et cetera. So hopefully that's helpful.
I think she really did hit it on the nail on the head with just explaining that. Anything you want to add to that?
Well, Seth, this is why we went and hired experts. We didn't want to get far into this process and promising a meeting place and an enclosed building for the visitors center. And we had talked about perhaps moving the Humane Society historic building onto the site. We didn't want to get far into that process and then find, oh, you can't do that because of the zoning requirements for the flooding in that area. So the town retained the Copley & Wolfe design team. It includes engineers and landscape architects and structural experts and permitting experts and environmental review. So we'll be making informed decisions that we can present to the town for the town to make the decisions.
Got it. Great.
So we can't have an enclosed building. It's not practical to have an enclosed building. We'd need 125 feet of ramping for universal access, which is, of course, an important element of everything we're doing at the park.
Right. Okay, let's get straight to this. We've got three, so Copley & Wolfe is the design firm behind that. They've given you 3 designs, and accompanying them are 3 what we'll call pavilions. Right. Now those pavilions can be mixed and matched with these designs, so we're going to start with the 3 concepts of the park, then we'll show the 3 pavilions.
So Copley & Wolfe didn't pull these designs out of thin air. We've had lots of meetings and to smaller groups. We talked to the town department heads. We've talked to community organizations. And so we've been getting some input as well as from the first survey. So the first concept has really interesting features. The pavilion if you can see on the image, is in the south end. And so the pavilion would be a open-sided, so we could have that in the flood zone. It'll have a roof. It will be sized for about 100 people, so up to 100 people. So it's for smaller events, but also, you know, if there's a yoga class in the park and it's raining, it'd be under the pavilion, but still have the beautiful views and all the ambiance that goes with that. So there'd be another feature is, of course, we have a harbor walk that eventually will go from the marina to the lighthouse. And so that'll be part of that along the street. But then a really exciting feature is a waterfront boardwalk that will really bring people to the harbor, their harbor, and enjoy that. This concept one has some steps, so the water will lap up. There'll be a railing, so it'll be safe, but that'll be oriented right to the lighthouse.
Nice.
So you'll have your lunch or a cup of coffee and enjoy the steps, enjoy the water, and have a view right to the lighthouse. There's also another, they call it view shed in the architectural parlance, a view shed down Hadley Road to Jericho. So we'll preserve that. Right now that view shed is a gray wall, the side of the community building.
Right,
that's
yes.
going to be removed. But now that'll be opened up. So as you drive down Hadley to the harbor, you'll see the harbor. That will be your gateway to the harbor.
Okay.
This, it'll have, as you see, there's parking for 10 spaces. That's on the south end near the street. It'll have turf areas. For all the turf concepts, Seth, we'll use turf that is, drought resistant, tolerant, salt tolerant. We're not going to have sprinklers. It'll be nice and usable, but it'll be consistent with the ethic we have for water conservation.
Great. Let's go to concept 2.
Okay, concept 2 has more parking, 14 spaces. As you can see, the pavilion is on the south side of the property, whereas in concept 1 it was on the north side. This one will be on the south side. This one has a pier that would extend into the harbor. So it would be like an observation deck, and it would really connect even more connectivity to the harbor. It has the turf areas. Each, from that image, if you see those two little white squares, those are restrooms. So each concept has restrooms. They'll be flood resilient. One concept we have is we have really nice upscale restrooms that would be on a trailer, like you see it, really nice, like weddings or other events like that, so that they'll look like beautiful restrooms, but they can be removed in the winter or when we have a flow event. They'll be maintained. The company that provides the restrooms will do the maintenance on them. So that'll be a really nice feature. And as you can see on this one particularly, each concept has flood resilient elements. So part of our project is to make this property flood resilient. That doesn't mean it won't flood.
Of course.
But it will reconfigure the waterfront part to be consistent with the master plan in the harbor for flood resiliency. So this will all tie together with what's being done in the rest of the harbor.
Great, great. Concept 3? Concept
3 has the pavilion in the center and parking on the south side, the north side, the right as you look at the picture, and that's right adjacent to the marina parking lot. So we'd have parking next to parking. This has, turf areas. You can see the meandering walkway. It's got the continuation of the harbor walk along the street, and then it has this waterfront boardwalk with, again, steps that orient towards the lighthouse. So this is, you know, these, I think each of these concepts is really exciting. Now, we don't show it on the concepts, but we'll have historic, artistic, cultural features in each of the concepts. And that'll be part of the process going forward, is refining those and identifying those and working with the community groups and the town to develop those. We'll also have, we want to have family-friendly features in each concept. We haven't specifically identified those yet. We've got time to do that. But that'll be part of, when we have the finished park, that'll be part of it as well.
Great. All right, let's talk Pavilion. I think a lot of people are going to weigh on this when they see these three things. We have three. One is a wave, a reflected pier, and a harborside gable.
You know, our mission as the Pier 44 Commission is to complete the evaluation of the park concepts. But our vision is to create an iconic entrance to the harbor. We want something that's part of the fabric of our community for generations to come, where you'll go to Pier 44 Park. You'll have, you bring your kids there. They'll have their prom pictures there. They'll have their wedding pictures there. They'll bring their kids there. So we thought that the pavilion will, as I mentioned earlier, with a covering, will really add to the utility. As always, shade is always welcome. We'll have shade trees, but something like this with shade is welcome. But we wanted to try to do something that is iconic, and that when you see it, a picture of it even, it's, oh, that's Scituate. That's right. Scituate Harbor. So the wave is, I think, really creative. And, you know, again, part of our philosophy here in developing these concepts is to embrace the future while honoring our past. And I think that first concept embraces the future. And again, it's a wave. So it's really cool.
Yeah, okay, reflective pier?
Yeah, the reflective pier is kind of a more traditional or modern kind of looking building, but you know, kind of a flat roof. But on the ceiling of that, we'll have this structure that gives you kind of the ripples that you see in the harbor. It'd be, you know, very cool and very useful as well. And then the third one is that's called the harborside gable, and this is you know, kind of the barn. You'd have the barn look. Again, really interesting use of wood and interesting layout. It's not a box, you know, right. It's really cool. So it'll, we think, enhance the appearance and the use and the sense of place that we want at a park. I think of the wave as kind of the Sydney Opera House kind of a look. That's a sail, but this is a wave. Yeah, I think they're really interesting, and again, that's why we did quite a search on consulting firms and selected one that has, over a long period of time, very consistently shown creativity, sensitivity to the community needs, and really success working at waterfronts.
Yeah, and I think it's very important for people to understand this is really a community project. This is the town. I mean, this is all about residents and their input.
It really is, and so we have a survey out now. And this is, the prior surveys talked about, you know, what should we do with the property, and it's a park. But this survey that runs through February 28th really focuses on the elements that would be in the park. So we want this to be, the community to be involved in this, to be part of creating it, and certainly to enjoy it when it's done.
And aside from that survey, you have two public information sessions coming up when? March 7th?
Yeah, March 7th at the town library. We'll have one that starts at 11 a.m. and one that starts at 7 p.m. There'll be a presentation that provides an overview and background information, but really we want that to be interactive. We want people to have a conversation with all the folks working on the project.
Great, great. Well done, Paul. Always good to see you. This is gonna light up social media. I can tell you that much.
Oh, we're
if it hasn't
really
already,
excited, Seth.
as you should be.
And again, the culmination of this is April 10th at town meeting.
Yes.
So we'll be asking at town meeting for approval of a CPC funding of $300,000, which would help fund the pre-construction work. So there's quite a bit of work that has to be done before we can go to bid. And it's final design, it's the permitting, it's the environmental review. There's a lot of test borings that have to do because the park, the pavilion will have a foundation and piers and have to be secured. We know the wind blows pretty hard there sometimes, so we want something that's going to be there forever. So, so that'll be the town meetings, really the culmination of this phase. And then once we get approval at town meeting, then we'll go to pre-construction. We'll work on funding, which is really important. There's lots of grant opportunities for reducing pavement in areas, for having more green space. This be really the only green space in the harbor, if you think about it. And certainly providing coastal resiliency is really attractive for grant funding. So it's been a really fun amount of work. I'm really excited about all the interest. I mentioned that we've had a lot of outreach, and I mean, there are literally hundreds of people that spend a lot of time volunteering to make Scituate better. And this is a small part of that.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. Paul Barkowitz, Shark, always good to see you. And remember, get that survey, scituatema.gov, and attend one of those public information sessions on March 7th.